Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course where we do encourage you to call in to join in today. And folks, it's been a while since I've been back with you. Oh, we've had tribulations of a lot of out-of-town conferences, and then a little bit of fracas with the radio station. But we are live today, and we are back in full and rare form. Today our guest is inbound, hasn't left yet, but inbound to USA and to Pittsburgh for the Thursday night encounter of the group called Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy. Now, we always try to have that guest with us from the ability to just connect with them and try to titillate you a bit to come visit on Thursday night. This is a little bit intriguing. He's coming to you today from Costa Rica. I talked to him on the phone yesterday. Sounded like he was across the street. I understand he's made the rounds on a couple of the other shows, so if you've missed him, you're going to be learning about an interesting and miraculous fruit called, I found out how to pronounce it, Carao. Carao, C-A-R-A-O-A, and A-O, Carao. It's always a tongue twister for me. You're going to hear about this miraculous fruit from a guy who raises it, figured out how to harvest it, and do so without damaging it one bit. We'll be talking with LLoyd Stndish today. He will be the featured speaker out at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy group on Thursday night. As you well know, they meet third Thursday. This month is a little crazy. Remember, this is Thanksgiving month. Consequently, it's second Thursday, this coming Thursday, the 13th. He'll be out there 7 o'clock at Riverside Landings in Oakmont. Hope to see you there. And by the way, you're going to have a chance to try, well, I don't describe it, try, taste, and sample Carao, a fruit that has miraculous properties. You're going to be learning about it today. Now, other things on the agenda, and things really have piled up, and a lot of announcements here. Get ready to rate. First of all, Young Living has really, this is a big month for them. Of course, Susie Weiss was so nice to switch origins, the origination of shows, so that she was to be our original guest. She's going to be coming to you on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, she is in the office. If you want to learn about Young Living essential oils, we have a free seminar. She runs one every month. You give us a call at 724-942-3002. We'll reserve a seat for you in my office on Thursday afternoon. More about that on Wednesday from Susie herself. Then, of course, Thursday night, not only does she come in my office in the afternoon, they have a meeting. They mean Young Living. If you want to find out more about it, you can go to the Springfield Suites out in Robinson Township. That's right beyond Sam's Club. They meet there at 8:30. Now, if that isn't enough, they have their special event this month at the Pittsburgh, called the Pittsburgh Group Living Conference, Living in the Vibrant Life, going to be held at Embassy Suites. It's going to be on Saturday, November 22nd, 9 to 4. If you'd like to become a part of that, just call at 740-632-5159, or you can go to eventbrite.com and procure tickets. If you are not a member or have nothing to do with Young Living, this is an open invite. It's actually a free event for you. If you are a part of Young Living, there will be a slate fee to cover it. More about that from Susie on Wednesday. Put that one aside. Another event coming up. We got Beresha tastings happening all over the place, of course. And this month, there's one this Saturday at the Carnegie Science Center. That's the JDRF Walk for the Cure group. They're going to be there all day, literally from 9 to 3 at the Carnegie Science Center. What a backdrop. Then on Sunday, there's going to be a farm-to-table tasting. Over 60 vendors are going to allow you to taste their wares down in the Strip District and prepare for it. But I'm going to bring Erin Hart on our show on Friday. She put the whole thing together. This whole thing about a tasting is evidently catchy. We've been offering tastings now for many, many months. Lo and behold, Erin Hart has a huge tasting event. 60 vendors will be one of them. So Beresha will be there, but a whole host of other farmers and vendors will be there too. That's going to be on Sunday from 3 to 7 down the Strip District. If you're looking for something to do, some of you folks, that would be the 16th all day or all afternoon down in the Strip District. We'll hear more about this from Erin herself when she is our guest this coming Friday. Hope you enjoy her. And then what else is going on? Okay, we got and Shannon Goosen will be our guest on Microcurrent Monday. This month's Microcurrent Monday will be on the 17th. We're going to be launching a new program. I want you to hear about it for the first time. It's called Second Call. You'll see what we mean by it. On January 1, we launch it. It's a concept that exists nowhere, folks. It starts right here in Pittsburgh. You're going to be a part of it, so you want to listen in to our show on the 17th with Shannon. And I think that's looking pretty good there. Anything else to share with you? Not so sure. I have come off of a whirlwind number of conferences. One out there in Albuquerque, which I believe will have a major impact on medicine as a whole. I'm going to share that with you. The first opportunity I have, looks like it won't be till next week, surrounding LDA. LDA has a new role to play, and I believe it's going to conquer some diseases never thought conquerable before. And then, of course, just coming back this past weekend with my good friend Patricia Kane, the famous PK protocol is alive, well, and kicking. And I mean, all my favorite members of the little group that we have this particular last weekend down in Millville, New Jersey. That's in the central part of the state. That's where Body Bio, the company Body Bio, is located. And of course, the owner is Ed Kane, the husband of Patricia Kane. She's the medical brilliant input, however, and it's always a pleasure to meet with her and meet the old folks and the new members of the group. So I've been having a good time in putting my learning hat on for the past couple of weeks. I'll be putting my teaching hat on as the days go by, because you always get to share in whatever I happen to learn, and how we'll end up applying it here in the office will become the way that you can parlay what you're learning to be able to help your own health as well as other members of your family. Okay, let's do this, folks. We're going to take a short break. And when we return, we hope to have with us, live from Costa Rica, LLoyd Stndish. He's coming to Pittsburgh. He travels on Wednesday. He'll be there Thursday night, the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy group. He grows, raises, cultivates, extracts, and bottles Carao, an interesting fruit found in Costa Rica. And we'll let him tell you the entire story. When we return, we'll be right back with LLoyd.
second here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today in a Monday morning version of the show, launching a full activity week. And as you well know, whenever the Freedom of Choice at Cancer Therapy group is getting revved up, we like, if we can arrange it, to bring to you that particular speaker to you in the week that they're coming to Pittsburgh to talk about their topic and give you an idea of what you can expect if you take a visit up to the Freedom of Choice group on Thursday night at 7 o'clock at Riverside Landing in Oakmont. And this particular gentleman in this month is traveling an awful long distance to get here. He'll be coming to you straight from Costa Rica. We're speaking to him now from Costa Rica. He is involved with a miraculous fruit. I learned how to pronounce it. He taught me. It's Carao. And the story of Carao is a fascinating one, and so is our guest, a fascinating guest. His name is LLoyd Stndish. I want to say good morning and welcome aboard. LLoyd, thanks for coming aboard this morning.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It's very good to be here.
LLoyd, long distance away from us. You sound like you're just across the street, but you've got a big history with this country called Costa Rica. You're an American, but yet you've chosen to live in that country. What was the intrigue? How was it that this all developed, that LLoyd Stndish, wherever he hailed from here, is now thriving and doing well in Costa Rica? Tell us about that story.
Okay, well, it turns out that when I was just out of high school, I became very interested in tropical agriculture and tropical fruit culture. And even though I didn't go right away, I was 2 years in the States working before I left the country. I was still very much interested in doing that. It turned out Costa Rica was the best place politically and in terms of climate and so forth for that project. So that was the main thing, a great interest in tropical agriculture. But there was also a second thing that was on my mind, and that was I wanted to be more self-reliant, more back to the land, more into the basics of living a simple, less impactful lifestyle in terms of environment and so forth. So for those two reasons, I came to Costa Rica, and I ended up buying a piece of land out on the western side of Costa Rica called Guanacaste. And after about another several years after that, by chance, I stumbled across this amazing tropical forest fruit, which is the Carao fruit that we'll be talking about today.
Now, it's not usual, and I've got a couple of kids of high school age graduating. This thing about you packing up and leaving the United States 2 years out of high school, that doesn't happen too often. And so you're a special cut guy, because normally kids of your age, that age, certainly aren't ready to take a big move like that. You should be commended for really the intrigue of such a decision, and the potential danger and mystique and mystery that were behind it. What were the first encounters? Had you traveled to Costa Rica any time before that, or you just looked in an encyclopedia and said, I'm going there?
Well, it's pretty much like looking in an encyclopedia and saying, I'm going there. I checked out the United States first. I wanted to stay as close as possible, and I preferred the United States, but Florida wasn't what I was looking for. It wasn't really truly tropical. It was subtropical. We didn't have the mountains and the environment that I wanted. I looked into Hawaii as well, and I didn't like that. I just didn't feel good about being way out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that way. So I turned to Central and South America. I did go to Venezuela before going to Costa Rica. That was another story. I found politically I didn't feel good there. I was harassed by the police there once. So just a couple of months later, I came to Costa Rica and found a country that was very, very positive towards North Americans, very warm and friendly. And in fact, I got the red carpet treatment with getting my permanent residency here in Costa Rica, because I was interested in agriculture, and they were trying to promote more what they thought were more modern agricultural practices, by encouraging foreigners to settle to do agriculture. It turned out that I was more interested in the antique agricultural practices and the modern ones, which were chemically based.
Well, Neo, it's rare to find. But what part of the United States are you from? Is the issue of farming indigenous to you and your family, or did you just come out of the clear blue sky and you're quite a unique member of your family because nobody else farms? What is it with farming? How did you know that farming was going to be your future?
Well, I didn't really know that for sure, but I really wanted to be doing the organic agriculture. But no, I did not have a background. My father, my family was very much drawn towards the natural foods movement and alternative nutrition, including work with the National Health Federation and so forth, which is kind of ironic. It's but I won't get into that now. And it was maybe something that I had that was a little bit unique. I was interested in beekeeping, and my dad and I did move to the state of Washington after I got out of high school, and we bought a farm, and we got started doing a so-called farmsteading there for those 2 years that I spoke of. I didn't go straight out of college or something. I did do this. There was a first step, which was a small farm in the state of Washington at Puget Sound area, before I did go to Costa Rica. So there wasn't a one step, but it was true that I was very unusual with those interests. I remember my uncle told me, just Lloyd, sit a spell and sit down and that spell will pass. He said he didn't think that would last, but actually I've been very happy with the decisions I've made here.
Well, it certainly seems like a pathway revealed itself that you wanted to pursue. You had to be introduced at some point to this, what I've called, and I think you probably end up agreeing with me, a miraculous fruit called Carao. How was that first introduction to you made about this fruit? How did you first learn about it? When did you first hear about it? Because you went down with the idea of being an organic farmer, but it's turned out you really enjoy dealing with one particular item. How did that initial introduction to Carao occur?
Initially, this was coming from the folkloric reputation of Carao as a natural remedy for anemia. That's basically part of the culture here all over the country, even as the country moves forward, as they believe, with embracing allopathic modern medicine. There's still an indigenous folkloric knowledge that some medicinal plants, and Carao is one of the foremost in terms of reputation and use for anemia. So that was the initial thing, having heard of that. But I very much wanted to have some of my own experience, that is, meet the people and be involved with this closer before I really accepted it as being so effective. So I started being involved with the extraction of the fruit and from the pod. It basically appears in a woody, hard woody pod, not as a juicy liquid like most fruits do with the pulp and so forth, but as a hard, woody series of partitions and seeds, nothing soft or anything a human being could chew inside a Carao pod. But there is a drop of syrup on each seed, not pulp, but syrup. Unusual, very unusual, because here we have a fruit whose natural occurrence is a syrup, not a pulp. So to get that out of the pod, most of the time in Costa Rica, it's broken up and boiled, and what you get is a very dilute cooked mixture. What I had worked with and have been doing is soak the pods in spring water, dilute that syrup just enough to let it run out of the pods by gravity, then use a centrifuge to centrifuge out. And I have to open the pods, of course, with the machete knife first. Open one side of the pod, almost like a big green bean, if you can imagine that. You know how a green bean has a string on one side which peels off. In a very similar way, these pods have like a string which is wood, which comes off the side. Anyway, after the centrifuging, we get out that dilute syrup or nectar, you could call it at that point, and then we evaporate it back down to that same high density, which is very similar to bees' honey. And at that point, it's also doesn't require any sort of refrigeration or preservatives. It's because of the high concentration, similar to bees' honey. So that itself was very, very much an innovation. I did that long before I got involved with providing this to people around the world. That was the initial part of my work, learning to extract this stuff in a raw form to conserve the nutritional value better. And then we started giving it away to people in Costa Rica for several years. That must have been around 1990. Yes, about 1990 is when we started giving this away. About 10 years before it actually became available to the world online. That was in the year 2002. So we had several years that we were dealing with people, providing it to them, seeing about, basically what I noticed then is that it was 100% effective. It was extremely effective for anemia, but the only causes of anemia that we were dealing with were iron deficiency type anemia and blood loss type anemia, which was normally from menstruating women, that sort of thing, and anemia of childhood, which is very common, and of pregnancy. Those things, that's part of the Costa Rican folklore. What was really surprising, what really, really was amazing to me, was that after we began to distribute this online around the world, then we got reports of other causes of anemia being very, very effectively, that's the symptom, that is the anemia being effectively managed through the Carao. And I want to point out that this does not cure the underlying disease conditions which can cause anemia. And there are many, many things which can cause anemia, except in perhaps you could say iron deficiency anemia. That I have seen that most of the time that clears up without reoccurrence and so forth. But if you have kidney failure, for example, and it causes anemia, which is normally the case, you don't expect this to cure the kidney failure. It helps the body deal with the anemia, and so on with bleeding tumors and so many other causes. There's hemolytic anemia. That's another one. We'll talk about that in a moment if you'd like to. That's another one we've had extremely good results with. Anyhow, the point I want to make is that after bringing this to the world through the internet, the rich sorts of information really started to come in more than what I got in Costa Rica.
Now, let me just share something with you as a medical doctor and as a trained anesthesiologist. The thing I'll share with you is it is the job of an anesthesiologist to evaluate any patient who's going to have a surgery, obviously, and certainly I've seen my share of productive females. I'm talking teenagers all the way up to menopause. And if I had to say the one unifying factor in every female of productive age, meaning a menstruating female, they are either A, frankly anemic, or B, teetering on the border of anemia through most of their adult life. The condition of anemia is pretty much standard territory for all women who are menstruating. And so in men, by the way, completely opposite. You never find males with anemia, certainly to the degree that you find women. So for the people who are listening to me right now, you may never have been diagnosed as anemic, but if you're premenopausal, you are, if not frankly anemic, you are teetering on that border. It's just goes with the territory. So there's a lot of people who can benefit from trying to enrich and improve their hemoglobin and hematocrit levels, which, of course, is what we use to make a diagnosis of anemia when it's such a common problem. I'm going to guess not just for American women, but I'm going to guess for women worldwide. Does that turn out to be pretty much true? What you found?
It certainly does. Well, of course, the figures that you get from official figures on anemia will perhaps be somewhat lower. And for the United States, about 20% pregnant women are supposed to be anemic. But you look at the figures provided by the World Health Organization, and it goes up to about 50%. of pregnant women are supposed to be anemic. And I have high figures like that, amazing figures for women who are in childbearing years, menstruating, who menstruate as well, not as high as that. But of course, that means their values have to fit into a certain range. But if they go to the very bottom of normal, which can certainly impair the woman's efficiency in her life, she's still not considered anemic. It's a very black and white thing when you try to classify people that way. In other words, anemic blood values are I believe they can be very subjective, very related to the individual. Some people do well on a lower level of hemoglobin that would be very bad for another woman or person. So, but yes, it's certainly true that women in general, because of that monthly bleeding, they tend to have that ongoing problem. And Carao fruit can not only help a woman recover her values, but avoid the anemia in the first place. In other words, it can be used. That's one thing that's important to point out. It's not simply something for sick people or anemic people to use, but for healthy people as well. In fact, athletes have found it gives amazing results for their endurance sports, like running and swimming. And there was an Olympic level swimmer who used this and gave just and several Olympic athletes who gave their strong recommendation of it. And I have sort of a website with some information on that. I could look. It's been pretty much not been up to date now for several years because we did not pursue the idea of offering it to the world for athletic use, even though that could have been an amazing marketing area. But it's very, very scarce, very precious stuff, and we've decided to basically promote it for the use for anemia because it's just such a special niche for it. There was one other thing I wanted to point out when I was talking about the amazing results that came out around the world in sickle cell disease. I was absolutely amazed by the results for sickle cell patients that came out of Nigeria when a doctor there, Dr. Atahaidu Bokotu of Sokoto State Specialist Hospital, pediatrician, a child's doctor, started using this with his patients for several years. We donated Carao to him on a regular basis. He sent results to me, and I'll be giving much more detail on that at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy meeting that's coming Thursday.
Glad to have those stats behind you, I'm sure. Let me ask you this. As a physician, I'm trained that when I want to replace or correct somebody's anemia, obviously the last resort, although sometimes necessary, is a blood transfusion. And no one ever wants to have to move it, but I can tell you that it's very, very common to correct anemia that is so deep and so profound that they require a blood transfusion. Nonetheless, iron is the ingredient that really needs to be encouraged and taken. And we're trained, and as physicians, that the form of iron that is necessary and is absorbable is called ferrous sulfate, as opposed to the form that isn't absorbable called ferric sulfate. That's about as far down the weeds as I want to get. But what is it about the iron content? And I have to assume that there is an iron component to Carao. Am I right?
That's the very amazing thing about it. The iron component is extremely small. It's so small that most of the time people believe that that's not the primary thing going on here. It's let me give you that figure here. I have it available on the iron content. It's let's see. It's 14 parts per million, and that comes to about 7.25 milligrams in the entire bottle, which is an 18-day supply.
Oh, that's nothing.
Now that puts it into perspective for you as a medical doctor.
I can tell you that's nothing.
That's nothing. Okay, so why is it so effective for specifically, or not specifically, but including iron deficiency type anemia and low ferritin? That really blew me away when people started reporting that this was good for low ferritin levels. I couldn't believe that. At first I couldn't. Then I got several reports, and I had to believe that. So I was corresponding many years ago with a doctor in California, and he said, well, Lloyd, this is actually very exciting because it appears that this is helping the body absorb the iron, which is normally available, which is not being absorbed, which is actually a much better way of handling this than simply giving the body a lot of iron, which causes many times side effects. I'm sure you've heard constipation and indigestion and so forth. And in the case of many patients who have received repeated blood transfusions, they get iron buildup, and they don't want any more iron. And I've had many people report, contact me in that circumstance where they would like to do something about their anemia. They have anemia, but they have too much iron. So that's in other words, this is very good in those cases. And of course, even when you do have a normal iron level, it's still, I think, a very good thing to think about normalizing a person's uptake rather than just providing more. We don't know what it is. That was a speculation. We don't know what it is about this Carao which is helping not only raise blood ferritin, but I normally don't hear about that. My normal statistics that I hear are higher hemoglobin levels and improved red blood cell levels, the two classic indicators of anemia. Those are the two things that most of the time are reported. I do get occasional reports of normalizing ferritin levels and platelet levels, but primarily it's the anemic values that I hear about and the reports that I get from people.
Yeah, of course, ferritin is a form of iron that's the storage form of iron, and so to build that up means you have a reservoir of iron that, when called upon, can donate to help somebody who is anemic, but not cause any problems while it's in its storage form. A pretty interesting way that maybe this works. But I think you've described, and what you said to me was the explanation for how Carao works is that it enhances the absorption of iron from your food normally, and by enhancing that absorption, because iron is very difficult to absorb, by the way, by enhancing that absorption, it doesn't have to contain a lot of iron itself. It allows you to absorb iron from other foods and other materials. Do I have that right? Does that sound like the explanation that you come to understand?
That sounds like what has been speculated by professionals many times. That's what we see. So that's what we really speculate on, although we still don't know exactly what's going on. And of course, it's a very broad action. Well, basically we have a wide variety of disease conditions and even what you would call normal conditions like menstruation and pregnancy, things which cause anemia, lots of things. But this helps the body recover the blood value. So it's a single effect on the body, you could say, but it tends to be associated with a large number of conditions because so many things cause that symptom. But yes, I certainly agree. That's what appears to be what's going on.
Very fascinating. Not an iron supplement. It is a facilitator of your own body's ability to absorb iron presented to you in other ways. Unique, very unique. I'm intrigued by this stuff. That just to be completely honest with you. So tell me about this thing about I'm picturing in my mind like there's a branch. It's like a piece of wood, and then within that wood there are these little seeds, and there's a drop of honey of this Carao on top of this seed. Am I got this picture right? And then you're able, by soaking it in spring water, to do what? What happens to that drop? I'm right about the drop, though.
Just a moment. This is the pod, the seed pod. Mm-hmm. Is actually about anywhere from 1 to 2.5 or 3, even 3 feet long. That would be very big, but about 2.5 feet long, 12 inches to about 2.5 feet long, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in diameter. Hard, woody exterior. It has one side that can be peeled more easily with a machete, even though it has to be with a machete. The only animals that can handle this are horses and cattle. They can chew that with their teeth, which is amazing. And they love it, by the way, and with excellent results for anemia in both of those animals. I didn't mention the fact that it's very good for anemia in animals, but that includes pets like dogs and cats. So let's start forgetting about the placebo effect here, because it won't be working for a placebo effect if it's just human beings. Also, babies respond very well. But anyway, going back to the fruit again, we do, as you say, soak it in water, and that dilutes that little drop of syrup on each seed enough to be able to either drain out with the water or be centrifuged out. We centrifuge this stuff after it's drained to get out the remaining liquid. And then we have a liquid that's still very highly concentrated. In fact, it's already much higher concentration than any other Carao that I have seen in or out of Costa Rica. By the way, there is one other source of Carao extract in the world available to be bought, and that's not ours, and that's sold on Amazon. But it's highly dilute sugar. It's not pure. It's cooked. It's cheaper than ours, but for those reasons, it's very, very dilute. But just so the public knows, this is so scarce that there's only 2 producers in the world making it for sale outside of Costa Rica. It's us and this other company. And our production is very, very low. We have about 3,000 units per year production. So putting that into perspective, this is a very, very scarce substance. Anyway, getting this out of the pod is a lot of work, and is not a great deal of it in each pod. There's approximately 2 or 3 teaspoons of the dilute syrup, of the dilute liquid, in each of these pods. And then that has to be concentrated by solar evaporation, which we do primarily. We have a low temperature evaporation which is solar, and a preliminary stage which we often not always use, which is non-solar, but it's still low temperature. It's way down around body heat, about 98 degrees Fahrenheit, which we use for preliminary to start the evaporation process, and we finish it in the sun. In Costa Rica, it happens that it matures in the dry time of year, which is almost zero opportunity for or possibility of rain. We use stainless steel trays in the sun with a screen on top, and finish it that way. So it's this, and I didn't even mention the harvesting. Harvesting involves climbing a tree, because the fruit does not fall off the trees the way it normally would. And in addition to that, one thing I think you have misunderstood, is that we don't actually grow this stuff on our farm. We don't raise this stuff in a plantation. We work with wild trees. This is a wild forest tree, and although we could grow some, we have a few trees on our property, but we don't have very much land in Costa Rica, and also we'd like to promote the preservation of these wild trees by buying the fruit from the local people. So we basically get this from the local people, and that means we have 2 or 3 trees on a piece of property scattered, these 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there, scattered all over the place. So it is a very difficult situation for harvesting, and I admit that it would be better to have a plantation that would make it easier for harvesting, but at the same time, the trees are endangered. In our area, they've already been eliminated from a vast area of their where they normally would be to the north of us in Guanacaste. And in our area, there's still quite a few, but unfortunately, it's one of the best firewood trees available. And in this country, in Costa Rica, almost all of the bakeries are fired by firewood, not by oil or something like in the States. So they're cutting these trees down for firewood. Trees which have an amazing medicinal value. I perhaps shouldn't use the word medicinal. Nutritional. Nutritional. Mm-hmm. It's a food product, by the way. It's labeled and sold as a food product. We do not have the human studies done on it, which would allow us to label this as a food supplement. So it's labeled as a food product, which it is. It's not even fractionated. It is a pure, whole Carao fruit. Nothing taken away.
Now, when it comes to you've been doing this a number of years now, I'm going to guess that you have a number of success stories, maybe people indigenous to the country, or how about outside the country, who had certain medical issues, then were exposed to be able to use your product and have been miraculously helped by them. Any noteworthy in your mind that you can call to mind?
Sure, definitely. So now you mention that, I do want to mention a very, very moving story, and I won't go into it very deeply, But just so you have a clearer idea of why we really started to focus on this rather than other farm work, because we had another product and we have other things to do on a farm than develop and work with marketing this Carao fruit. One of the main experiences, which was really a turning point for me, was back in 2002 when we were told about a little girl who was already, I believe, about a year old or a little over a year old, but her development was less than that of a baby of 6 months. She wasn't able to even sit up yet or crawl. She was crippled by anemia. This was a case of anemia, deep anemia from birth. She had the full medical attention. The doctors were doing everything they could for her. I don't know about blood transfusions, if she had those or not. Mm-hmm. I do know that it was a case of stunted growth, of stunted mental development, of really just severe conditions. And we were asked to make a donation of Carao, which of course we gladly did. We sent this through a friend, and it was given to the little girl. A few months later, weeks later, we got reports of doing very well, and thank you very much, let's have some more, and so forth. We kept on providing it. And finally, I got a chance to go and visit this little girl with her family. Her name is Casey Melendez, and there's a picture of her on my website. I'll be talking a little bit more about this case on the meeting we'll have on Thursday. She was a bubbling, active, running around little girl. That was months after the real crisis. She did an amazing growth spurt, amazing developmental progress when she got over the anemia. And her parents told me in depth how this helped her. And it really made me feel that this is something that's not just interesting and not just useful, but many times can be practically life and death useful and valuable for people that really need this, even when medical treatment is used to its fullest extent. Carao can do things that medicine cannot. That was only one case, but it certainly was one which drew my attention and caused me to devote myself much more and completely to working with Carao. Although we do have a couple other things. We make natural cane syrup, which I won't get into, but we do make organic cane syrup only now in Costa Rica. That was one case. And you asked about others. Well, certainly there have been many reports to me over the years, and I just wanted to just read a short list of the different causative factors of anemia, which we have found. We've had many reports for all of these of good, very, very good results. Iron deficiency anemia, of course, anemia of menstruation and excess blood loss, anemia of pregnancy. I've already mentioned those three. Anemia caused by chemotherapy and hospitalization.
Oh, boy.
That's very, very common, and it's extremely effective for that. We had people use this, but though I don't necessarily agree with the use of chemotherapy, but and people need it to recover from that. People use it to recover from surgery or to prepare for surgery. Kidney failure, another one that came out entirely from experience outside of Costa Rica. Many for your listeners who may not know, kidney failure is a very, very common cause of anemia, and it's an ongoing struggle for people with kidney failure generally. It's very good for that. Thalassemia, which is a genetically genetic form of anemia, for the what's called thalassemia minor and thalassemia intermediate. Those two brands of thalassemia. There's one called thalassemia major, which is an extremely severe breakdown of the ability to generate blood, and it's not very effective for that. The same with aplastic anemia. We've had a few reports of improved less time between transfusions. That's the best you get with Carao and aplastic anemia. I don't count that among the group, which is very likely to be successful. And there's also hemolytic anemia. We've had amazing reports of people getting better from hemolytic anemia, and that's one of those very few causes of anemia that I would say, well, gee, it looks like it's cured. I hate to use that word, but we've had people report that they undergo medical treatment, they don't get better, they take Carao, they get over their hemolytic anemia in a few months, and it doesn't come back. Well, that sounds like a cure, but I don't know. I really don't know much about hemolytic anemia. Sickle cell disease, I mentioned that as well. Amazing results for that. That's most of what I can remember of the causes of anemia, that I would say causative factors that we have seen Carao to be very, very effective for. That is, for the symptoms, for the anemia itself.
Well, that's quite an extensive list. Seems like if there are any issues out there that are applicable to my listeners, you absolutely don't want to miss out on the opportunity to meet you in person. You're going to be up at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group. That's on Thursday night at 7 o'clock, folks. Why don't you come on out? That's at the Riverside Landings in Oakmont, 7 o'clock. Well, I enjoy meeting all of you anyway, the standard guests or standard participants, as well as any of you new ones. Hopefully I can meet you out there too. Now, this how does this stuff taste? Okay, it's called a fruit. I have envisioned in my mind that this should be good tasting. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's an excellent question. In my opinion, it tastes great. In the opinion of many people, it tastes great. However, it has an unusual smell, which some people don't like. I think it's better to focus on the positive stuff. Let's just say it tastes great. It tastes like chocolate. Sweet, by the way, which you would expect from a fruit. Mm-hmm. A sweet chocolatey flavor. It's very strong flavored straight from the spoon, similar to the way it would be taking a spoon of honey. That can sometimes be pretty strong flavored. But you dilute this in something of, I hope, hopefully similar to milk. I don't recommend cow's milk at all for adults, and I'm not a doctor to recommend anything, but I'm giving a personal opinion here. I think if you would mix this with a milk substitute, it really tastes great. And that in Costa Rica, it's very commonly used in cow's milk, as famous as a drink, both as for its medicinal value as well as its just good tasting drink in Costa Rica. So it's interesting that you should ask. I think that most people can look forward to enjoying it.
Will they have an opportunity to sample it on Thursday night?
Well, okay, I think I'll go ahead and plan for that now that you put it that way.
Oh, they would really enjoy the opportunity. Yeah.
I hadn't planned on it, but yeah, we can do that. I would prefer to make it, to mix it with coconut milk or something to make a really great drink, but I don't think I'll have that opportunity. I'll have to give people a taste test of the pure stuff, which is not as good. But, imagine, look at it this way. Chocolate tastes good, but you try cacao, and it doesn't taste very good. Cacao powder is kind of bitter. Of course, cacao is not a good comparison. It's not sweet. And this is sweet, so it's a lot better than cacao, but it's very strong flavored straight. But I'll give people a taste test. And but my point is, even if you don't like the taste, it's really worth it if you have any kind of a health situation. Oh, before we go on, let me point out that for helping people who are ordinary people with even tiredness, very good for people who feel tired. It helps mental acuity. Those things are associated with good, strong blood. And it turns out that even for people who may be in the normal range of anemia, they can feel better and function better with Carao. So I would like to point that out, too. It's not only for people who happen to have anemia. And you pointed out the extremely important thing that women who are of childbearing age, almost all of those should be taking something.
They're on the border
to help their blood values.
All right. I think we have a caller. You don't mind taking any questions, do you?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, look, you're with LLoyd Stndish here, and she's going to be coming into town. 412-825-6262 is the number to get on in here with some minutes to go. We do have a caller out there. Why don't you come on in the store? Hello, welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Dr. Courtney, good morning, and good morning, Lloyd.
Oh, hello, it's Sylvia.
Courtney, for having Lloyd on. Mm-hmm. Lloyd, we here in Pittsburgh warmly welcome you. We look forward to being with you Thursday night. It's going to be a great night, and I'm going to let a little secret out, Dr. Courtney. We have actually, I should say, have asked a couple to drive in from Illinois that have such an amazing testimony. the folks are not going to want to miss it. It's really a surprise, and I think it's just well worth coming, and I look forward to having everybody. And I'm going to say something about the taste. I had the opportunity to sample it, and you know what? Doesn't have a smell to me, and it tastes great, and I feel great. And even we all know that the life is in the blood. Even the Bible tells us that, and the Bible doesn't lie. So I think that this is really something wonderful that we've come on to, and I am so thankful to Lloyd that he is sharing this with us. I really, really appreciate it.
There you go.
And I know that many will benefit.
Well, thanks for calling in and informing our listeners that not only will Lloyd be there, but a group, a couple, a family is coming in from Illinois.
Yes.
Who has
a couple is coming in, Dr. Courtney, with just an amazing, amazing story.
Well,
really amazing.
Looks like
coming from the brink of death to life beyond measure.
Perfect. Okay, well, you've set the groundwork.
Enjoy this and benefit greatly.
All right, Sylvia, you have set the groundwork for enticing many to come. They were coming already, but if they hadn't or sitting on the fence, I think they're coming now. Good call in. Thank you so much.
Thanks a million, Dr. Courtney. And Lloyd, I wish you a safe trip. And again, we look forward to having you. Thank you so much for coming. And thanks again, Dr. Courtney.
Okay. There you go. Well, you go, Lloyd. You probably know this family in Illinois, but we haven't met them yet. And I guess we're going to do that on Thursday night.
Right. And I can't tell you any more than that, what she said, because this is a secret. It's a surprise for the people at the meeting.
Very good. Now, there's a reason to get up there. 7 o'clock Thursday night, Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group at Riverside Landings. Folks, you haven't been there yet, don't miss this opportunity. I think it would be an evening well spent. You'll learn something that you would be able to learn at home.
And there'll be Carao fruit available there at basically the same price as is available online. By the way, very important, I think, to point out that all of this information, I should say, just about everything I've spoken about is available on my website, and that would be naturalbloodhealth.com. Very, very simple name, naturalbloodhealth.com. A person can go there and review this stuff, see it. You can see pictures of people who have been involved. Many of these testimonials do have pictures associated with them. And there's also the quantity of testimonials I've had over the years is amazing. And I just pick out a few. I can't talk about very many, but I've got many people. And I should say that's really the main source of my information. Information people have sent to me about their experience. Of course, that's always classified as anecdotal because it doesn't meet scientific standards as a study and so forth. But I have one piece of good news. There was a peer-reviewed, published study in a reputable scientific journal done in Cuba, and that I'll be giving more information on that in this talk on Thursday. That basically was done with laboratory animals and showed clear benefits for Carao and anemia. So we do have one scientific study. The other experience, it may be classified as anecdotal, but it's certainly, to me, important. For example, this clinical experience by Dr. Sokoto in Nigeria, years and years of work with patients. He sent lots of blood tests before and after. Doesn't qualify as a scientific study because he didn't have the control group and so forth, but certainly with so much information consistently showing benefits, we do have something going on here.
Well, I think the groundwork is laid perfectly. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday night. Have a safe trip into Pittsburgh. I'm dying to sample the fruit, so we have a chance to try the fruit as well as the syrup. Is that right?
No, I won't take any fruit. I'm not allowed to.
Oh, that's right. They'll arrest you. My goodness, you can't do it. Okay, so we're gonna actually.
The fruit will taste the same. It's a raw product. It will be the same flavor as the natural fruit. You can try the syrup.
All right, looking forward to it, listeners. Hope to see you up there. Lloyd, thanks for spending some time with us today. I love the miraculous opportunity we have with electronics. You sound like you're across the street, for goodness sake. But you will be in the street with us on Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Freedom of Choice Group at Riverside Landings. I'll see you then.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye now. Folks, there you have it. An interesting fruit, is it not? One of a kind, I guess. They're always noted for that up there. A one of a kind. Have the opportunity to sample it, and especially just productive females. I know you. I've evaluated you so often for surgeries. You're always teetering on the brink of anemia, and here, without having to take an iron product, you can normalize this. It's wonderful. A very good idea. Okay. Other things I don't want you to forget. Remember, this is a Young Living Week around here. And although Susie Weiss, that is, are going to be my guest on Wednesday, I want you to prepare for the opportunity to be involved with Young Living in a number of places. One is this Thursday afternoon in my office. And that's a free seminar for anybody who wants to learn about essential oils. Give us a call, 724-942-3002. Then, for those of you that want to even learn more, Springfield Sweets, which is out there in Robinson Township, just outside the parking lot of the Sam's Club out there, they're going to be there at 8:30 in the evening. And then, don't forget, the big Kahuna gathering is going to be at the Embassy Suites. That's going to happen on Saturday, the 22nd, from 9 to 4 o'clock. If you're not a member of Young Living, it's absolutely free. You're absolutely invited to come on and enjoy the day on them. If you are part of Young Living, you need to go and enroll and to get a ticket to get in there. And of course, that will be handled at eventbrite.com. Just register online at Pittsburgh Young Living Health Conference, and you'll be able to purchase your tickets there. That's on the 22nd, once again, all day, 9 to 4. Those tastings, oh boy, we got plenty of them starting this weekend at the Carnegie Science Center for the Beresha. Those who want to try the Beresha products. The JDRF Walk for the Cure is going to meet with Carnegie Science Center all day, 9 to 3. And then this unusual, and she will be here to explain it, farm-to-table tastings. Here I thought having one of our drinks would be big enough. No, 60 vendors, 60 growers, 60 people in the marketplace of farm to table are going to have the opportunity to try their wares. I think it's going to be a great day. That's Sunday from 3 to 7. Okay, we got bongos in the background signaling our time out of here. Nice to be back. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday with Susie. Till then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.